Okay. All right, we're in Kuf Chaf Gimel. Good morning in Sif Tes Vav. Machritz b'shimrei yain. Someone, who decides to make chametz, to leaven his bread with shimrei yain, with, I guess, the fermented, sediment of wine. Within 12 months, Kol Isa Asura Bahana, then the whole dough is Asur Bahana. Im Darach of Kachavim Lechametz Behem, Imultu Liknas Behem, Ayin Le'el, Seven Kuf Yudalid, if the goy, did it in order to leaven the bread, whether you're allowed to buy from it, paspalto, whatever, then that's earlier. Tezayim, yesh bisha oimer, shetamtzitz yain and nikra shadofni achovis b'kankanim, that the bits of wine which gets stuck and dried out on the sides of the barrel, the kankanim in the bottle, and the sediment or whatever, nagubo heter. That's okay if a guy touches it. If you use it, or that that if you have, it's like bits of wine which you see there's like schmutz of wine which is dried up, after 12 months, or after, we'll get into mili ve'irui, which is machshir the barrel, and there's still bits of schmutz, and you don't peel that off. You're allowed to do it. You're allowed to. We're noig boheter shkimin shedisiabich kol kach kvar kala kol achulchas yain shebo ka'afar ba'almahu. That if it dried out for 12 months, even whatever is there is too dry to be considered wine, and therefore it's like offer ba'alma. Now, I don't think this applies to blius, but that's a whole other discussion we'll get into at a later point. Yud Zayin, and Yud Zayin now. This is where we sent around some pictures of hopefully you'll be a little bit clear for reference. The aim of an ancient wine press right around here in the Rafi Shemesh. When is it called wine that would become ulcer in Magagoy? When it starts flowing. The Hainu. The gas is the upper part where they do squish the grapes. Because if you look at the picture, you see that the gas itself is slanted, is in a slope. And the reason it's done that it's that way is so that the chatzarnim and the zagim and whatever stay at the top, and the wine flows down to the channel into the bore. So in Mashech is that it starts flowing, right? It starts separating, filtering from the Chatzanim and the Zagim. In Pina HaChatzanim v'Zagim, if you scooped out, you filtered out the Chatzanim and the Zagim, v'Hayayin Levadoi Nimshach Mitzad Ha'Elyon Mitzad Ha'Tachton. And you went ahead and you took a shovel and you pushed all the chatzanim and zagim to the side, and just the wine flowed down. Nishar yain levada oimed nikra hamshacha. It's also called hamshacha. It doesn't have to be that it flows down the hill. Even if you went ahead and you filtered out, or you just pushed the chatzanim to the side, that's already called hamshacha. And then if a guy touches it, everything is also in the gas. Even if you only touch the chatzanim and zagim, once you start separating it, it can become ulcer. Obviously, if they're still wet, because it's all one chibur. You touch one part of the wine, it's key. You touch the whole pool of wine. It doesn't have to, you don't have to see. You have to touch every molecule or whatever. When you didn't start separating the wine, ad shulei hagas. Let's say that that the part, it didn't, he touched it when it wasn't separated, or the whole thing, everything was made to funnel down into the bore, or to the side, whatever. Um, then that's not called hamshacha as long as it's still mixed around in the wine. Yudches, imile mehagas kos yain. If you took a cup of wine out of the gas itself, v'kivin l'shaloisa, pir shasir me'inyan shalna alecha, you'll take off your shoe. They wanted to remove the sediment, me'achatanim v'zagim have hamshacha, that is already called hamshacha. And once you start the process, then the wine comes also. V'chein, now, if you want to take a cup of grape juice you didn't care about the sediment, that's not what we're talking about. You're talking about that you're trying to start filtering out the stuff. Once you start separating it, then the whole thing can become ulcer. If you put a basket inside the gas, or gigis, or like a big bowl with drucha, nikra hamshacha. That's also called hamshacha. Kivin shahayayin salul nichlas esachasal. Since the wine, you'll see you push down the chatzanim. Only the wine's gonna go into the sal. V'nivdal me'er chatzanim v'azayim turns into a filter. Then avaim, and that's hamshacha. Avaim lakach chatzani im hayayin lo havi hamshacha. But if you just scooped scooped everything out, that's not called hamshacha. Even if a goy went ahead and he scooped everything out and he touches that, it doesn't make a difference. You could even just put it back in because that's not called hamshacha. Yutes, gigis, Milea anavim druchim. If you have a barrel or a big bowl or something like that, which is some sort of huge container, which is full of pressed grapes, omedes vase avikachavim, which is it's a vat in the house of a goy. Yesh lasar shemahimshich vivena. We're choshesh that maybe he started filtering it. And once you start filtering it, even most of it's mixed, it doesn't make a difference. He can touch it and it becomes usher, and he's not unless it's straight hashkacha the whole time. But if not, then we're choshesh, and it's usher. Chaf gas shehistuma umalaya, a gas which is it's plugged up and it's full. The lo shayach b'hamshacha. It's not, nothing's flowing down. Right. Let's say in this case you have even though it's a madron, it could be the madron or whatever. So you block it at some point so it turns into a pool. And then you opened up the channel and you put a sal in front of the gas. That it filters it. Then that which is in the gas doesn't have the din of yain. Only that which is, you have a little channel there or something, so only that's going to be considered wine. If the goy touches the sal, nesar, then in chanami everything becomes ulcer. That which is in the sal becomes ulcer, and if you throw it back into the gas, nesar masha begas, then it's a tarevis, and the as is that which is in the gas, mishum tarevis yaim, shebesal shenisarebo, it's a tarevis. So whatever the tarevis by yaim, we're going to have the, shishi, whatever it is, we're going to have the rova, I don't remember what it is, we'll see. It'll be also, im yesh b'chatzanim v'zagim shebegas shishim, neged yaim, or shishim, shenafel bo me'asal, motor, and if there is shishim in the gas, and neged to mevatel, then becomes bottle. Ein dorchim im ha'oived chafalef. Ein dorchim im ha'oived kochavim begas. You should not have a goy, a non-Jew, a goy, press the grape. He shouldn't be pressing the grapes for you, or gigis, or in a vat. Shema iga b'yadayim yinasech. Maybe we're choshesh that maybe he's going to go ahead and touch it, even though yes, he's being dorchim with his feet. We're gonna by the factors. I looked it up. The way that the only way that they machshir wines is that until the point of We don't let the goyim be involved in pressing the grapes at all. The fila hayakofos, even if he can't touch it, even if you tie the guy's hands together, he can't touch it. It's a gzera. Maybe we made a gzera. Maybe shema yiga doesn't make a difference. Therefore, it's also for a goy to go ahead and be dorch the anavi dorch the grapes to press the grapes, even if there's no maga. It's a gzera rabbanon.
What point are we talking about Zayin then?
In
What's the situation?
he does. That's not where he pressed the grapes. That's just where he touched it. He put his finger in. Yeah. Here, if a goy pressed it, we're goyzer that it's nes or miyad. Agav in darach kol ma shenimshach mikoich in darach, and if he did do it, kol ma shenimshach mikoich, any of the juice which flows, from his pressing the yotza lachutz nesar, it becomes aser. Ayin lekaman sim kuf chafdale. We're going to koicha and stuff. That's only in a vat or in a gas where it's normal. That's the place you start filtering the wine. Because it's a gzera that even if he can't touch it, it's a gzera kodam hamshacha until after hamshacha. But if it's in like a sealed bowl or some sort of sealed, that it just makes a big pool of wine. You don't filter. You have to pour it in something else to filter it. Then it's allowed to hire goyish workers to go ahead and to darch there. And even you're allowed to go ahead and to buy pressed grapes from the areva. Since it's not the derech to go ahead and to be moshech, therefore they won't goizer over there the shema yiga, and you don't have to be worried.
Do you have any idea what this conceits is?
And the rave is the difference is by the gas, or let's say by a gigis, there's a spout, there's a place for the water to or wine to start flowing. If there's a spout it has a spout of some sort that they open up, so it starts the wine starts flowing out. Yeah. So it's a kli which is sealed up, where they don't usually do it. They never do it that way. That's not the way they do it. It's a sealed vat. Then they're not, and these dorchet there, and doesn't have a spout or a spigot or anything like that. Then it's okay.
Like a big mixing bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no spout with it. It's not a usual place to do it. It's like in a swing within like a big, I was in Yerushalmi's house once, and I saw he bought all the leftover grapes or something, like white grapes, and he took I don't know what he used, but he had put them all into this kiddie swimming pool, and made grape juice out of it. So whatever you do that, if you're going to do that, it would be fine to buy that juice. Now again, if the Chachsherim hold until it's pasteurized, no going can be involved in the process. Even in pushing the button and they can't touch it, whatever, it's still the same problem, and there's what to be geyser. Unless I guess the case is that they did it and it goes into a vat, but I don't know how far it take derech leimashech, because at some point it has to be dumped out. But I don't know how the factories work. Chav beis. A guy who is dorech yaim v'lo nagabo, and if he doesn't touch it, and there is a Yisrael watching. Yisrael who should cancel b'chavis, and the Yisrael he's the one that puts the yain into the chavis. Harei also b'shtia. It's still also, it was low. We say low plug. It doesn't, hashkacha doesn't help. This is the rabbanan. This is part of the gzeras magagoy, and it's also. So that's the thing. So it's not asa b'hana. That's the one thing they're makel on, is that if there was hashkacha, it's not asa b'hana. The only problem over here is an iser of chasnus, right? There's two issues. One is gzera altu yain nesech, and one is the Gzeira of Chasnas. So over here, there's only one Gzeira of Chasnas, and therefore of intermarriage. So therefore, after the Bishtia. Chav Gimel im Chavis shel Yain Nesech Muneches im Chaviyos Ksheros Sarich La'asos LaHeker. If a chavis of wine Nesech is mixed in with other chaviyos Ksheros, and you have to you didn't mix it, you know which one it is. You have to make a heker so people know. It's just a practical thing. You have to make a heker so people know which is which. Chav Daled Agua Ardianti, whatever Shalom Kachavim, also Bahana, Kiyain, Atzmoi, Agua, water, grape water, okay. I was a little bit unsure what it was. Yeah, whatever, that's, it's also like Yain Atzma, even if it, or if it's grape juice, anything like that. Hagao Pirush Dvar of Yain Sarov She'oisim Yain. Here we're talking. What it is a wine liquor, where brandy, vermouth, things like that is comes off of Isha Inu Rakzea, even though it's distilled. Minanesech Harehu Ki Iser Atzmoi. So therefore, even if it's distilled, and you want to say that, well, maybe therefore it's distillation makes it into something different. It doesn't, and it's still still under the gzer. Even though zeya, but b'derech klal, ish omim. Some say it's what we say by we're machmer by isser v'heter that it's the same thing. But by brachos we say it loses its status. Al kapanim over here we say it's the same thing.
Like alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. Yeah. So like I said, we're going to get into all the wine and whiskey stuff. We'll get into a little bit later when we get into the barrels and all these things or whatever. But I mentioned, the Libations talks about blended whiskey, and we'll discuss it more as we get into bittul and all these things. Chafei muter likach me'ovek chavim koliandri confiti avapishanois koliandri v'choimitz. Even if they put it in choimitz, like they had like balsamic vinegar or something like that, they put, even though they add wine in. One of the reasons balsamic vinegar is a problem is they add wine into it. So that also, even though they put it into chometz, it's still also. Mishud having seen his tam it's mutter. I apologize, mutter. Okay, well, the balsamic vinegar is not. The chometz over here is we're talking about the chometz which bubbles. It's a strong chometz. Even if they would sweeten it with wine or grape concentrate or anything like that, grape must and all these interesting names. Then it's noisen tan lefgam. The chometz is so strong, it's pogame whatever wine goes in. Then it would be mutter to drink or use. Well, the chometz could be from wine, but the chometz is strong enough that we had the case where it's bubbling. You put it on the floor, it bubbles. It's so charif and so strong that it doesn't. Then it's mutter. Then it's mutter b'maga. So in that case, even if you put wine into it, the wine itself comes pogum and it becomes it doesn't make a difference. It's mutter. Dvash yishmeelim aser. Now, the dvash we're talking about over here is that it's like some sort of grape jelly, basically, where they boiled the grape juice down, so it turns into jelly, which is dvash. And this is what the Yishmaelim, is something the Yishmaelim used to do. Since originally it was wine, even though it changed form into jelly, it's still aser. The Taz says that there are those that say, well, since Yishmaelim, and sometimes Yishmaelim here means the Notzrim also means a Christian. Sometimes it's hard to know when it means one and the other. They often interchange words. Said that even though that they asered, even the Arab especially asered, they asered us from marrying them, and they were doicha. So it said there are those people who thought, well, if that's the case, so there's no problem of chasnus. Here it's only a problem of chasnus. It's not also banah. And therefore, it's going to be mutter, even mutter to drink wine. The Taz quotes the Maharal. It says he heard from the Maharal. He said that someone who's makel, who's malaglag and makel in this, he says he said that the shikhrus is going to cause him to cause his children to intermarry, like even a kala even. Tagabi sheshasa yain nesach b'shogeg yesh om sheis ana chamisha yom neged chamisha pa'amim gefen shebechumesh, that you have to fast 5 times negative the time it says gefen in the chumash. V'yiskapir, if you look in the first sif of the Chachmas Adam, he talks about the chomer of stam yenam. Alpi saw the bit that it's actually just had it in Daf Yomi. Talks about yain meshumar le yain meshumar le tzadikim. That's it's called the schar olam haba is called yain meshumar, and therefore a person who drinks yain nesech or drinks stam yenam is pogea in this, and it's very very chamor. Ayin neshama, all the heavy stuff. And therefore, you see from this Rama also that you need kapar. It's not, this thing is not, it's not something to play around with. It's a very, the Gzeir was about chasos, it's about yain nesech, but there were a lot of deeper reasons behind it, and therefore it's very important to be makbid on this.
Is this yain nesach here means stam yein?
That's what the Chachmas Adam writes. Here they have